Okay, all right. Welcome, 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 everyone. I am Lisa Giroux, the All Things Spiritual Telesummit host, and I'm so delighted that you're here with us today as we talk to Dana Zarcone, an energy psychotherapist, and she has some amazing, powerful information to share with you today. Welcome, Dana.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you today, and I'm glad that we were able to reschedule your call for today.
hmm
What is an energy psychotherapist?
Well, I got my master's in psychotherapy, and the same time I got my master's, I also went to a four-year institute in New York City called the Institute of Core Energetics, where got certified in energetic therapy. So it's a very spiritually based therapy, but it also incorporates mind, body, spirit. There's lots of movement, breath work, sound, and all that kind of stuff. It leverages traditional talk therapy, but really takes the client in a deeper place much more quickly so that you can heal quickly and really get through to the ultimate other side, which is feeling joy and peace in your life.
That is our natural state of being, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. That's the way we were born. That's the way it should be.
Absolutely. So what does all things spiritual mean for you?
For me, it really is the foundation of everything that I do, not only in my personal life, but it's also the foundation of everything I do with my clients. It really is one of the first questions I ask my clients when I'm doing work with them is, do they have a connection to any type of higher power? Because when we're feeling desperate and hopeless and withdrawn from life, it's that connection, even if it's just the slightest little ember, it's that connection that's going to help to pull you through, to be able to lean on something higher and bigger and more powerful than yourself.
Mm. What was your journey towards towards this awareness of spirituality for yourself personally?
I was raised as what I call a religious mutt, so to speak. My dad was a traditional Catholic, very hardcore, went to church every single weekend and all that kind of stuff. My mom, on the other hand, was baptized Lutheran and went to church on holidays. So when they had us kids, they didn't know what to do with us. So after long discussions, they decided to baptize all of us Episcopalian, and we went to a Methodist church on holidays. So it was very confusing to me. And so because of that kind of hodgepodge structure that I was growing up with, I really, at a very young age, started to contemplate, what is spirituality? What is the distinction between the different religions? And what does a higher power really mean? And how do I tap into that in my life? So it was a very kind of cathartic experience I went through at a very young age, actually.
Very, very interesting. We really kind of are naturally spiritual beings, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. And we were born that way. It's interesting because when you're in utero and you're growing and developing, you've left the spiritual plane, right? And you now have agreed and contracted that you're going to become a part of this physical plane again to learn whatever it is we're here to be put on earth to learn. And when we're born, we still have such a strong spiritual connection to that higher power, to the universal consciousness, if you will, and to our higher self. And as we go through life and we have all of these experiences, the woulda, coulda, shouldas of the world, if you will, we become more and more disconnected to our spiritual aspect because we're trying to manifest and organize ourselves on this earth plane. And so we tend to, it's almost as if we put ourselves in a position where we can only have one or the other, not realizing that it's so possible to have both.
Oh, I love it. This, that, and the other, really. Let's have it all.
Exactly. We're co-creators here. Let's leverage that, right?
Absolutely. So let's delve into co-creation. What does that mean?
The very first process in like I say, I make sure my clients have some type of spiritual connection. They don't have to be full outright and yes, I believe in God and I pray every day. It's, do you have some alliance toward knowing that there's a higher power? And we talk about this very early on about becoming a co-creator and realizing that you are not truly having to own and be happy through your own right and through your own process and so forth, that there is a higher power there. You're a co-creator with spirit. You're a co-creator with that higher self within you, that you can create happiness, but you don't have to feel so alone. You know, when people are going through their struggles, they feel alone, they feel hopeless, they feel desperate, and they feel that nobody understands them. And when you can create this sense of part that they don't have to be totally independent and segregated from everything else, that in fact they can be attached to and integrated with spirit, it really helps to take some of the pressure off. They can just relax and breathe and realize there's something else to tap into. And if they're feeling hopeless, they can tap into a spirit that will help pull them through.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. So for someone who's brand new, what's the first process you give them?
It really is about thinking about co-creation and thinking about duality. So, you know, everything, we live in a dual world. It's black, white, bad, good, right? And I have them really go through a process very early on about exploring that co-creation and their connection to spirit. And sometimes it needs to be reestablished, and sometimes we're just laying on some more foundation for which they can stand on as they go through their process with me.
Very good. That is very good. Do you teach meditation? Do you show people how to run that energy through their body and open up that awareness?
I do some meditation, more so though with my clients. What I do is I do a lot of energy work with them. If I'm doing distance work with my clients, I will act as proxy, and I can do some energy healing that way, and I can teach meditation and those kinds of things. So meditation is a very strong foundation for what I do. But also I use a lot of exercises and stuff when I'm one-on-one with clients, or when I'm in group workshops. I use a lot of different equipment that helps people get out of their head, which is where we predominantly want to live, because it's a safe place to live. And I work with them with their energy, with their body movement, and with their breath to get them grounded and help to break through some of that block, that trapped energy that they have that predicts exactly how they're going to present themselves in life. So I use a lot of exercises. There can be, I work with a roller. They can get on a mattress and kick and have a temper tantrum. They can use a cube and a bat, you know, different techniques. It's the bioenergetic type of techniques that I use that really take my client further much more quickly than traditional talk therapy.
Oh, very good. What do you mean when you talk about distance healing? How does that present itself for you and for your clients?
Yeah, so in some regards, I will have them do the hitting, the kicking, and all that kind of stuff. I teach them different exercises that they can do that helps to pull their energy down into their, you know, their root chakra, so they can get completely connected energetically. So I'll do a lot of exercises and that kind of stuff with them, but I also do different healing techniques depending on where they are. So let's just say they've been traumatized and they're in a position where they're holding a lot of resistance, so they don't want to go there, so to speak, to the tough parts. They feel like they're afraid they don't have to relive the trauma or something like that. That I actually do healing work where I act as proxy and I can release trapped emotions myself without having them move. As long as they're grounded and they're connected to their energy and they're hydrated, then I can do some long distance healing with them too. So I've studied energy medicine, Donna Eden's energy medicine methodologies. So I bring a lot of different tools into my toolbox, so that I'm able to meet my clients really where they are, and I can bring them what they most need that's going to be in the service of their highest good.
Very good. Are you intuiting or listening to the languaging of what your clients are speaking about? Are you sensing where they might be blocked, or are they able to language for you? I'm sure it's unique in many situations, but do you intuit for them as well?
I do. A lot of it is multimodal, if you will, right? So I got my master's in traditional psychotherapy, so I have the kind of cognitive work that I do there where I'm able to pick up on certain nuances and that kind of thing. But I did find through all the energy work that I've done and the schooling that I've had around that, I am very intuitive. I can sense energy. So usually what my clients are holding in their bodies, I'll feel it in my own. So I'll know. We also do body readings. So it's not uncommon that I would have my client in, say, like a sports bra and a pair of sports shorts. So I can really see what's going on in their body and where they have held energy, where they might have energy leaks and all that kind of stuff. So I can kind of tap into that and I can feel what's going on in their body by reading theirs. It's amazing how telling the body is. It really is a true overt map to the personality in terms of when they've been wounded, what kind of wounding did they experience, at what age, and by whom. We can tell all of that. And so I use a lot of that to be able to break through what they might be holding that they may not even know that they're holding onto.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So what has compelled you to do this work? Why do you find that this work, the energy medicine, here and now on the earth plane, why do you think energy medicine, frequency healing, body awareness, all of these techniques that we share with our clients, why do you think it's important now?
You know, it is so critical. I mean, my gosh, look around the world right now. Look at how much hatred and how much cruelty and all of this just horrible things that we're experiencing around the world. And we really are one consciousness. We really are one. And the more of us that can step forward, that can choose to stand for humanity and stand for peace, love, and joy, the more that we can move that process forward and connect with other individuals, particularly even in this format and so many other ways, the more we can thwart that. You know, I really do believe there's still hope, but so many people are starting to feel hopeless because of what they see on the news, what they're reading in the newspaper. And it's so important to be on the forefront to show people that there is hope, that we still are loving, beautiful human beings that are connected to a higher spirit.
Oh, that is so true. And we're not really seeing a lot of it, or the mainstream really isn't seeing a lot of it. I think those of us who've been on the spiritual path for a long time, we've known about these alternatives. And now the esoteric is becoming the exoteric, and to choose to take our power back.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm also seeing a big shift with my female clients. There's just this big movement that I'm sensing energetically with my clients, and even women that I'm just surrounding myself with, that I network with all the time, that there's this awareness, I think, that people are starting to become more spiritually aware, and they're feeling this tug. They're not maybe so consciously sure what that tug is, but they know that they're being drawn, they're being called to this work. And I think it's because we are so powerful. And there's so much work and so much healing to be done on so many levels, that I think there's so many people now that are feeling that calling, they're feeling that tug, that gravitational pull, and they're starting to stand up and take notice, and then take the action and the steps forward to try to open things up.
That's so important, and it's so needed right now. We as women, and the Dalai Lama has called for Western women to stand up, that we will be the ones that will heal the planet. But we have to heal ourselves first, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. We absolutely do. And, you know, I'll tell you, one of my soapboxes that I get on very frequently is, you know, we all have healing to do. We've all been traumatized, either emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually. We have all been traumatized, and it's our responsibility to heal that trauma so that we can move forward in a totally different way and experience life in a totally different way, from a place of our higher self that is in service of love and connection to the universe. And so many people, I think today, they look for the quick fix, the happy pill and the easy button, and it doesn't work that way. There's healing that needs to be done, and when you're older and wiser, you can heal yourself in a way that doesn't, where you're not re-traumatizing yourself, because you have the ego strength to face that trauma in a different way and still feel the pain and process through it. So I have like this 4-step process that I kind of coined, which is, you know, get real, reveal, deal, and heal. Get real with yourself first and foremost, reveal what's really going on, deal with it, and heal. And it really can be that simple. It doesn't have to be so complicated. We seem to make it so complicated because there's so much fear on this, under that surface of re-experiencing and feeling the pain as if there's a bad feeling and there's a good feeling, when really we're human. They're all just feelings.
So true. They are all just feelings. And when we're all squished up and scrunched up, that feels so awful. And we just couldn't imagine that when we take that deep breath and just set it all down and allow ourselves to be real, and we don't have to hide what may have happened to us, that really becomes then our experience and strength that we get to share with others.
That's so true. One of the things we look at from a core energetic model is really helping our clients identify their masked self, which is the self that we have created that very, very early on in our lives, we've learned how to behave, act, and position ourselves so that we can feel accepted, lovable, worthy, so that we know that we're enough. But it's really this kind of pretend self that we put out to this world. And the sad thing about it is we start to buy into that pretend self ourselves. All of a sudden we have assumed the identity of that mask, and we've forgotten who we really are on the inside. Who are we really at our core? And what core qualities do we really have that we can get back in touch with, that we can own, and then navigate in life through there?
That's beautiful. Do you have a sense of who you are at your core? Would you be willing to share that?
I can talk to you about my mask, my lower self, and my core. I've done a lot of work on that. I'll tell you, that's how I got to the energetic work, aside from traditional talk therapy, is because me, myself, went through a lot of work. And when I got to a core therapist and started doing the work in a more, body energy way, it just took me places I never knew even existed, of places I needed to heal. So it's just very powerful work. But yeah, from a core perspective, and it's something I'm trying to make sure my clients stay connected to as well. For me, I'm very compassionate. I have very strong leadership capabilities, and I am very spiritual, very loving. And the one thing I want to make sure that people know is that being connected to your higher self doesn't mean a perfect self. Lots of times there is a disjointed paradigm there where they think that higher self means I have to be perfect and loving and all that. No, it means that when I get angry, I'm truthful and I call it out in a constructive, loving way. Right? It doesn't mean I don't get angry. Right? So it's something to be so clear about, because I do find a lot of that happening in the world as well. Like, to be spiritual means I'm perfect. To be connected to my higher self means I'm perfect. And that's not the way it works.
That is not the way it works, but we have that then, the more spiritual we become, the more compassion we have for our messed up human self that will continue to have humanly experiences. And I like to say the length of time we're willing to spend in hell becomes shorter and shorter, and the length of time between hellish experiences becomes greater and greater.
So true. So true. And when you are truly connected to that, you can embrace your higher self qualities. You can love yourself unapologetically. And that's really the goal, right? We're human. We're here to learn lessons, and, we come out with bumps and bruises, but we love ourselves unapologetically for everything and all that who we are.
Oh, that is so powerful. Why do you think that obviously it would be learned behavior, I would think, for, especially as women, that we get this self-love from a power choice, confused with being shamed and blamed for being selfish. What is the dichotomy there? What's the duality there? And can we bridge that more easily?
Yeah, I think really a lot of it goes back to, we do feel shame. Shame is a very big, basic emotion that we tend to not really identify with as much because we're so stuck in the other emotions of sadness and despair and depression. But shame is a very common thread through a lot of that. And we feel shame because we were told we weren't good enough, we're not lovable. We've gotten all these messages from our primary caregivers, from society, from our churches, and all these different places where we're taught taught how we're supposed to act in order to be acceptable, what rules we have to follow in order to be included in some type of, life, right? And the shame is such a strong piece of that. And it's about owning that shame and having compassion, because that shame comes from a place of your inner child, that place, that young part of you that was wounded very early on in your life. And to come at that shame from your place of your higher self with that strong ego, and I don't mean arrogance, I mean the ego strength that can support that inner child in feeling that shame and working through it.
Very, very good. And the work that we do, that we choose to do, again, it's got to be a choice. We have to have free will with regarding our own personal spiritual work. The choice to let that shame go and really love ourselves. Love really is the healing balm for all the ills in society.
Definitely.
And when we are integrated, when we are powerful, body, mind, and spirit, what are the gifts?
When you're integrated, the gift is true, utter peace and joy. I mean, when you have that faith and you have that connection to spirit, you have relinquished yourself of all of the worry and the stress of, are things going to work out? What am I going to do? My life is horrible. Oh my God, all these things I've got, my life is falling apart. When you can hold on to that part of you that just has a knowingness that there is more to the world and to the universe than just what's happening in your world, and you have that connection to an overall consciousness, then it relieves you of all of that stress, because you're not in it alone. It kind of goes back to that co-creation aspect that we talked about earlier. So you can really have a lot more faith in life and lean on this co-creation aspect of it and know that you're not going it alone.
Oh, I like that. You're raising young, powerful women in your family. I think of who I was in my teenage years, and that poor young girl. And my parents did a wonderful job. What are some of the words of wisdom that you would have for young women coming of age now?
The thing I see right now that's so prominent I have one that's 12, she's going into 7th grade, and one that's 8 going into 3rd. And it's amazing how much bullying is happening in school today, and that they are any little even resonance of, you're not good enough, we don't like you, they tend to absorb as sponges, and they're taking in and defining their self-worth from all of this noise and chatter outside of them. And social media certainly doesn't help, right? And it's so easy for these kids who are, quite frankly, very immature at this point. They're just dinging each other, and then the other people who are being dinged are just absorbing it, and then you wonder why there's such an escalation of depression in our schools, right? So for me, with my girls, I'm constantly letting them know that, you are not perfect, but you're perfectly imperfect, and you need to love yourself. You can't be hurt without giving them permission to hurt you. Right? You can't be powerless unless you make yourself powerless. And to really hone in on being connected and centered and grounded within themselves, so that all of that noise and chatter doesn't infect them the way it's been affecting them. It's so important to just stay connected to their true innate qualities and keep them connected to that higher self qualities that that they could easily lose if we don't keep them grounded.
And that this too shall pass. It seems as if you have no life experience, so everything that you're experiencing now is everything, and to just let them know that this too shall pass.
Right. And it's hard because, at that age, they feel their whole world is crumbling down. I mean, everything's, a lot big. It seems a lot bigger than it really is. And to your point, just kind of pulling them back and saying, hey, this is just a small little blip. You can handle this, and you're stronger than you think you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we are more powerful than we ever imagined. Throughout our entire life, and starting very young. Do you have a personal protection practice? Do you, I'm always encouraging each of us as we're moving out there to be sending the energy out first, encircling each of us in love and light and protection. Do you, and I imagine with your daughters, you're sending energy with them each and every day. Do you use your practice in that manner as well?
I do. It's interesting. I do a lot of, the candles and that kind of stuff and set intention and the meditation, the grounding work. But, one thing I started, and I start all my client sessions with this as well, is Donna Eden's 5-minute energy routine. She has a 5-minute energy ritual, which is really all about kind of synthesizing, your chakras and your meridians and kind of getting everything revved back up. It's like starting the car and letting it warm up for a while is the analogy I would use. And at the end of this routine, at least the way I was taught the routine, is that there's a thing called the zip up. So you're going from your pubic bone up to your chin, and you're zipping up those meridians, and you're throwing away the key. And that's to protect your own auric field from absorbing and taking on all the other stuff that's out there.
Because we're like these porous, if we're not protected, if we're not grounded, we are just like magnets for what can be negativity if we don't do that. And I think part of our healing work, especially as women moving forward, that we must be engaging in this for ourselves, and all of our loved ones then benefit.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, when we we're talking about one of my higher self qualities being compassion. It's easy because I am so compassionate. I truly am very sympathetic to my clients. If I'm not careful and I'm not aware, I'll absorb their energy. And then all of a sudden they'll leave the session feeling great. And I'm feeling, gosh, really like weird. And also my back's starting to ache. I'm feeling depressed or whatever was going on. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to zip up, and brush it off. You got to brush it off, and, all this kind of stuff that you can do to kind of clear your auric field, so you're not adopting all that stuff. I did a long-distance energy session with someone who had a sore throat for a couple of weeks and said, gosh, can you help me get rid of this? And so I was proxy and did some energy work on her. And she said, oh my God, my throat feels so much better. Thanks so much. And I said, you're welcome. I hung up and I was getting ready to leave the house. So I had to run and get ready. I was late. And all of a sudden I started coughing and like for 10 minutes, I'm like, what the heck is going on? All of a sudden there's something in my oh my God. So I just took everything on for her, and I was like, oh, and luckily I cleared it and then zipped up, and I'm like, okay, well, that was interesting.
Yeah. And it's not something that we can do once. We must do it repeatedly.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I was just traveling this weekend, and yes, I needed to I probably should have done a little more grounding and cleansing when I arrived safely last night, because my sleep was a bit disturbed, and I was thinking it was because I was moving through the frequencies of everybody else. But let's talk. Do you use your energy work like to clear the path when you move out there, so that you are intending, for planes, trains, and automobiles to leave on time, to land on time? Do you use that for the practical aspects of your life as well?
I do. Like, for instance, I just flew back from a conference I went to in Houston. And when I'm on these planes, I'm watching all these planes take off, I always, have this little prayer, safe travels, and really it's same thing on the plane, keep it just really sending a lot of energy through the plane, trying to keep everybody safe and grounded and that kind of thing. I think it's just so important. And even just a little bit of that can go a long way. It really can.
It really does, and I think you and I are languaging things the same way. I do the exact same thing with that, and I'm always seeing everybody as just rising to an even higher version of their highest self than they could even imagine, so that we can all get the tasks at hand accomplished with just as much love and light as possible.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That's powerful, because I think that we forget about the practical aspects of our spiritual practice, and to use them, not just to get a parking space, although that works great too.
Exactly.
So if we are out there and we're sending this love and light to others, of course we're not trespassing on anybody's free will, but if it's ever for the highest good, it's always beneficial, right?
And that's a really good distinction too to mention here, is that, when you are in service of the highest good and you are not so personally connected, you can send this love and light and protection right out there in the universe and to protect the people around you. But I will say, I have had experiences where energy healers themselves have done energy work on me without my permission, like while I'm in a conversation say, oh, I just heal. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You've got to be really careful about the same ethical boundaries need to come in play as well. Making sure that you're not imposing yourself, which is why when I do energy work, the way I was trained is you always ask permission to play proxy so I can tap into their energy with their permission.
Right. Yes. Me the same way. And I always told the family, you agreed once. Now
Exactly.
It's coming. But you can always choose not to receive that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and I think that's so important that for those of us who are on the telesummit, to know that there are intentions that have been set for all of humankind that you can open up to receive personally, and that we have set intentions for all of humankind that are for the benefit of healing the collective, that does not trespass, that is not invading anyone's free will, because it is of a higher frequency. So
right.
And each day we must do this because of all of the energy that is out there, and especially our gravity working on us, this very dense package. Regular practice is key, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it really is, because the other thing is not only the gravity and everything else is around, we're exposed to so many more toxins and pollutants and bacteria and all this other stuff that really affects our energy. It affects us at the cellular level, but also affects our work field and everything else, and can throw everything off balance. So it's really so important to continue with a practice that helps you kind of stay as cleansed, if you will, as possible.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. What is a message of empowerment that you'd like to share, or a couple of steps that people could take if they're like, yes, I'm share those steps with us, and then I want to hear what you have to offer everyone, all of our wonderful listeners. So do you have a message of empowerment that you can share?
Sure. I do. I think really the biggest thing for everybody is just practice self-awareness first and foremost. It's so important. Drop that mask, be as honest with yourself as you possibly can about what's going on, what are you feeling, why are you feeling it, that kind of stuff. So self-awareness is first and foremost. The self-honesty is the second thing. Be as honest with yourself as you can. And then also practice self-compassion. It's about raising awareness, being as honest with yourself as you can, and then being compassionate with yourself about what comes up. Don't use it in service of putting yourself down or validating the world around you. Use it in service of lessons and what you can take from that, so you can overcome things and become closer to connected to your higher spirit and feel that joy and that happiness and everything else that's available to you.
And it is always available to us, no matter what we may be perceiving at the moment.
Right, absolutely.
The choice to allow the love or the light and the peace of mind and well-being to shine, even through the divorce, the disease, the perception of less than. That's what bumps us up.
Right, absolutely. If you have this attitude of sacrifice, of less than, of never enough, of constant struggle, and you'd be so amazed when you practice that self-awareness and that self-honesty, how much of that probably is playing in your world, and how it's even just split, second thoughts that just come in. But it's all those things that compound, and they create our sense of reality. And when you can slow down and kind of acknowledge all that and become aware of that, you can change things. It's kind of like the adage, you can't change what you don't acknowledge.
Very powerful. Very powerful. And just as true today.
Absolutely. Even more so.
Yeah, I was saying, yeah, exactly. We really need to do our work. We really need to turn away from the distractions, turn within, and access all of those beneficial frequencies that are available to each of us throughout the day.
Absolutely.
Hey, I understand you have some wonderful little gifts for us, and ways to work closer with you.
I do. So I have a few things. First and foremost, if you're struggling and you are feeling emotionally flat and stuck in your life, and if there's any thought that you might be depressed, I invite you to take a depression test of mine. It is it's based on all the clinical standards and that kind of stuff, but it's at sourceyourjoy.com/depression-test. So if you go to my sourceyourjoy.com/depression-test, you can get access to that test and you can figure out what is going on. And then you'll join me on a journey that's going to help you make some sense out of a very misunderstood condition. So
Nice.
first and foremost. The other one is I also have a really great ebook that's called The 9 Strategies to Live a Joyful Life. And you can get that at sourceyourjoy.com/joy-strategies. Joy-strategies at sourceyourjoy.com. And that is a really great ebook. And I guarantee you, when you read it, it's not full of all that fluffy stuff like Feel Joy by Going Out and Dancing in the Rain. It is meaty, meaningful stuff that I guarantee you, if you focus on, you will bring so much more joy into your life. So I encourage you to get that. And then also, I do have a special for all of your listeners. So if anybody wants to schedule an energy healing session with me, they can do so by going to, again, sourceyourjoy.com. There's some brand recognition there, right? sourceyourjoy.com/energy-session. Energy-session.
Great.
And that's for $45, which I normally charge $150. So for $45, you can get an energy session with me, and I can work with you and clear whatever your subconscious is willing to let me clear, and we can get you rocking and rolling.
Fantastic. And as if by magic, it's all those links are listed right below us. So please make sure that you click on the links below and get connected with Dana, because she is really doing healing work upon the planet that all of us can use no matter where we are on our pathway. The continued choice to heal ourselves is really how we're going to heal the planet.
And you said it absolutely beautifully, because it really is a choice. You can do victim or valor, right? You can choose happiness or despair. And it really is, bottom line, it really is a choice. And we're here to heal the world so we can all just get so much closer to ourselves and to love and to that spiritual consciousness. And so I would love to see anybody that just feels so moved to connect with me.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Anything else you'd like to offer today? Any words of wisdom or burning desires, Dana, that maybe we haven't covered in our interview up to now?
Yeah, I really think it's just, I'd ask that everybody just take even just a moment of silence every day and just putting positive energy out to the world. It doesn't have to be directed at anybody, just the world in general. And so we can heal all the hate and the cruelty that's out there. And even just one small dose, 1 minute to put out there, just a moment of silence in service of the higher good of the universe, it can be so powerful. And I just encourage everybody to do that, because we really are all into this together.
Oh, that's wonderful. And, just sitting there and listening to you speak, holding that silence, be still and know, it really opens us up to just higher realms of awareness, and it's ever expanding. And we want that for everyone.
Definitely.
Phenomenal. Well, thank you so much for your time today,
Thank
Dana.
you.
That
Much
was wonderful.
appreciated.
And everyone, thanks for being a part of the All Things Spiritual Telesummit. We've created this platform with information you can use for transformation at any age. Never too late, never too early. Start now, exactly where you are. Be well. Catch you the next time.
Bye.
Namaste. Thank you. Bye.